Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another edition, another episode of Talking to Myself, episode number 24 to be exact, hosted by yours truly, Dante Toro. How are we? Happy Monday, everyone. How's everybody doing? I hope everyone's having a good Monday so far. I hope everyone had a great week last week. I hope everyone had a good weekend. This week on Talking to Myself, I promised you guys last week that I would finally watch Sinners and Thunderbolts. And I did. I kept my promise this week. I know I always said I was going to a few weeks ago. Had to push it off, but I finally got to see both in theaters back to back. That's really what a bulk of this episode is going to be about. It's going to be a big movie review episode. And then I'm going to talk about some potential Patreon content, stuff like that. I want to kind of throw that out there, manifest it, kind of see what people think about it. I put a post on my YouTube community section about the idea of a Patreon. I got some good feedback, but gonna keep talking about it. I'm gonna talk about it here and kind of, see what you guys say in the comments, all that good stuff. Gonna unfortunately talk about the Boston Celtics getting eliminated. Jayson Tatum tearing his Achilles, gonna be out for. There's no timetable yet, but he's gonna be out for next season. That's what it's looking like. And then an update on the NBA playoffs, and then we will jump into comments of the week. So I say, fuck it. Let's just talk about Thunderbolts and Sinners. I'm going to start with Thunderbolts because that was the first movie that I saw. So I saw both of them this past Tuesday. I have a movie pass for Showcase Cinemas. I don't know if I probably have mentioned it on here. I definitely have, but you can do anywhere between 2 and 5 movies a month. So I do 3 because the difference in tiers is only like $2 or $3. So to me, it's like I'd rather spend the extra $2 or $3 a month even if I don't see a third movie, I still get my money's worth because a movie ticket nowadays is what, 15, 14, 15 bucks. With the movie pass, I pay for 3 and I think I only pay 18, $19 a month or something like that. It is such a great deal. I used to pay for the 5 back when I first moved out near Boston and stuff, and I was different living situation and all that. I had the 5 one. I don't think I ever went. Maybe I did go once or twice. I went 5 times a month, but I pay for the 3. It's super worth it because it's, again, like a one ticket is $15. I go 3 times for less than 20. How is that? You go twice and you're making your money back and then some. So I went on a Tuesday because I'm starting to I need to take like designated days to like go out, go to the movies and stuff. There's not always great movies out, but just like go out and chill at the theater because it really is a relaxing time. I love going to the movies, not especially by myself. I love going with people, but it is relaxing going by yourself and just sitting in a nice reclining leather chair, getting a bag of popcorn and a soda and just enjoying yourself for a little bit. But let's talk about the movies that I did see. So Thunderbolts. I'm just going to tell you right off rip, this is the best non-Avengers Marvel movie that's come out in a while. Like, I would say anywhere between 5 to 10 years. When you kill off half of your superheroes, half of your big names in a movie, you're going to struggle for a bit. That's just what's going to happen. And they did. You had such a big story, and how do you follow that up? And I think the first few movies after Endgame weren't anything great. It's not that they've put out, yeah, they have put out some bad movies, but back when, like, from 2008 to, let's say, 2020, 2019, so for a 10-year span, you could expect Marvel to put out a few solid movies a year. Like, they're going to put out some hits. Like, every other movie is going to be a hit movie. Not everyone's going to be, the best movie ever or whatever, but they were putting out fucking insane movies consistently. Now it's like, I feel like they put out a good Marvel movie one every 5. You know what I mean? It's like you can't count on them to deliver on a Marvel movie since Endgame. And when you continuously are doing that, because it's been 6 years since Endgame, you start to lose trust. You start to lose a little faith. And that's what I was doing with Marvel. But this fucking movie, we're back in. I hate to say that we're back after this one movie. Like, are we fully back? Maybe not 100% back, but man, oh man, we are going in the right direction. Like I said, this is the best non-Avengers movie to come out in 5 to 10 years. the acting, the actors, the crew, the team, the new Avengers was so well put together. I thought it was a great combination of Florence Pugh, Sebastian Stan, Lewis Pullman, David Harbour. Oh my god, I loved the Red Guardian. He was the funniest. He was the funniest character. Was just the perfect comedic older actor, parent, father figure of the group. It was just so well done. Florence Pugh was great. She was really the center of, the new Avengers, the Thunderbolts, or we can call them, what did they say? The Chesapeake High Thunderbolts, I believe it was. West Chesapeake Valley Thunderbolts. That was the name of her Florence Pugh soccer team when she was a kid or whatever. And so that's where they got the name Thunderbolts from. But this just felt like a breath of fresh air from Marvel movies. I didn't go in with the highest of expectations because, again, I losing faith a little bit here. I think Marvel's kind of, they've put out some stinkers over the years and they've lacked my trust that I can count on them to deliver on a good movie again. This was getting insane reviews when it came out, and that made me happy, but I was like, I got to see it for myself. I'm not going to, let these reviews, these early, how much money they're making, whatever it is, I'm not going to let that raise my expectations just to be let down when I see it and it's not actually good. It was actually good between the comedy aspect, but also like they were tying in a lot of real life stuff. Like it was a big, topic about, loneliness and depression because one of the main guys, Bob, who the story is, these Thunderbolts, these anti-heroes, whatever you want to call them, these outcasts maybe is a better word. They work for someone and they're doing dirty work, you could say. They were trying to get rid of some stuff and they came across this guy Bob who was getting experiments done on him, and turns out the experiments worked. They didn't work on anyone else but Bob. And Bob, spoiler alert, I probably should have said that before, I'm so sorry, spoiler alert, Bob turns into a fucking freak villain, hero villain. He's a little bit of both. Not, I think towards the end of the movie, we kind of know what he is now, but OP, absolutely OP. The way that he is able to turn people into shadows just by creeping up on them, that's terrifying. The one scene where the Red Guardian saved a little girl on the street from I think it was something falling from the building or whatever. He protected her and he was looking down on her, and then she just disappeared like that or went into the ground as a shadow. My jaw dropped. I thought it was such a crazy sequence and a crazy thing to do, but it really, like, they nailed how dangerous and how deadly he can be. Some moments really did hit hard, when they were talking about loneliness and depression and everything, and how they kind of tied everything in, and how the power of friendship really and teamwork helped conquer the villain side of Bob, and which was his depression and his loneliness and that void which they were talking about during the movie. There was something really very symbolic, but it was special. Like it was very heartfelt and you felt it. You know what I mean? There are things where, they might put something on screen or in a movie and it's like they're trying to relay a message or to say something and it doesn't really connect. This felt like it connected. I don't know what it was about it, but like I'm sitting there watching this and I just like that feeling of them all coming together and, helping Bob, getting him out of that void and all that. That was really powerful. It was really powerful. It was super well done. Again, the comedy aspect, the real life stuff that they talk about, that's real. And how they were able to do all that and make it mean something and ultimately have it be a really funny movie too, but also feel good at the end and everything. It was really well done. Marvel seems like they care. Again, this movie just felt like, wow, they actually put effort into this. And I'm really happy that it delivered because they needed this. This was an injection into the MCU. I am so happy that Thunderbolts are a part of it now, and we're going to continue with them. I'm super excited for their next movie or whatever they're a part in next. I'm assuming Doomsday would probably be the next thing that we'll see them in. But yeah, I gave it a 5-star rating on Letterboxd. I just thought it was a 5-star movie. I don't know how many other Marvel movies I've given 5-star ratings to, but it's not many. I'm looking forward to what they do next and what Marvel has next, because this next phase with Doomsday coming up and Fantastic Four and all of that. I mean, listen, they could turn it around. They could turn around. This is going to be a crazy next phase for Marvel. I'm super locked in and I'm very excited. Let's now move on to the next movie that I saw right after Thunderbolts. I went from one movie theater to the next. The timing of it was so perfect. Sinners. Oh my god. I actually haven't written out a full review for it yet. The only notes that I have for Sinners in my notes that you can't see is holy fucking shit. I still haven't been able to process or put together a actual review for this movie. That's what I'm going to do now. What I have written down on Letterboxd is I was starting to type this review out before the very last scene happened. I originally had Sinners at 4.5 stars, but that last scene turned this into a 5-star movie. I need some time to accurately put my review into words, but all I know is that Sinners is a 5-star movie. Bra fucking vo. Spoiler alert, this is a 5-star movie. I'm gonna say this right away. I'm probably gonna be throwing out spoilers talking about this. So if you haven't seen Sinners, see it. Fucking see it. This is a 5-star movie. I didn't know what it was about going into it. If you don't know what it's about, I recommend I don't look it up. Just go into the movie and just let it happen. I only saw the one line like on Letterboxd, and all it said was trying to leave their troubled lives behind. Twin brothers return to their hometown to start again, only to discover that an even greater evil is waiting to welcome them back. So that's all I knew. I don't know what the evil is. All I know is that there are two Michael B. Jordans and they're moving back home. That's all I knew going into it. 5-star movie for the people that don't want to be spoiled, but I'm going to start talking about the movie. So skip over this part. I'm going to have timestamps and stuff so you can skip over to the next section, whatever you want, but just giving you a heads up. Okay, Sinners. Guys, fucking vampires? Are you out of your mind? I didn't know what this movie was about. I didn't know what the plot of it was. I didn't know what what issue they were going to run into. I didn't know jack shit about this movie. So when first, acting is awesome. The acting is incredible. Michael B. Jordan, of course, Haley Seinfeld, but Miles Catton, is that how you pronounce his name? The one that played Sammy? Bravo, man. Absolutely. Bravo. It was everyone involved was so good. The story was, I'm not the biggest fan of like thrillers and horrors. I wouldn't have considered this a horror. There were definitely horror elements to it, and vampires, scary. That could be considered horror, but there weren't like really any jump scares to me. It was definitely more of a thriller in the aspect of suspense, build up, just action as well, and the story. I didn't know what was going on with the fucking vampires. I didn't know they were vampires at first. When the guy went up to the house and they brought him in, and the guys were looking for him, they're like, "Oh, this guy is dangerous" and all that stuff. And then he eventually, I thought, ate them, bit them, and turned them into vampires. I didn't understand if that guy was just a demon or a cannibal. I didn't know. I didn't know what was going on. And then at some point during the movie, I forget what the exact moment was, but there was something that clicked where I just put it together and I was like, "Oh, they're fucking vampires." And then something happened, like I thought that, and then something happened in the movie that basically kind of like confirmed it, or like if you had any confusion, there was no confusion anymore. And as soon as that happened, it was just like my mind blew, and I was locked in before then, but once I figured out that they were vampires, I was fucking, there's no word to define how locked in I was. It was such a ride. My jaw was dropped for a lot of the movie. The action of it, the gore of it, that, and It amazes me that it didn't bother me. Like, when I'm watching something like that and it doesn't bother me, that means it's good. At least to me, it's great. Part of me was like, "You know what? If there's, parts of this that I'm not gonna like, I'll just get up and leave." Like, I'm not gonna force myself to watch it. I was upset the movie ended. Like, I wanted the movie to keep going. Haley Seinfeld was fucking awesome in it. Michael B. Jordan, I mean, this has to be like career defining movie for him, genuinely, where I think he could, these types of roles moving forward and stuff like that. I love him in Creed. I know he's in Black Panther as well, but he did his thing in this movie, and I was so impressed how they tied the beginning. Because the beginning of the movie, Sammy's walking in, he's got, he's beaten down, has a guitar, and then how at the end it finishes with him going in, full circle moment. How everything was tied together was incredible. And then I mentioned it in the review, the last scene where it was like they start the credits and it's like a post credit scene. I thought it was 4.5. It was like Letterboxd, it's only 5 stars. You can only go by half a star. If it was like you had a 10-star rating or a out of 10 rating, it probably would be like a 9.5, 9.67, whatever. But it was just, I don't know. There was something that was holding me back from giving it a 5 at the time. Now, during the movie, the vampires couldn't get into the buildings or anything. The only way that they were let in is if they were invited in. And that's something that I realized once I realized they were vampires, that initially the guy got into the house because he asked and they let him in. And moving forward, that was like the thing. And I'm like, that's great thinking. That's just such a nice little piece added. At the very end, Sammy is in his later age, like 80s, 90s, whatever. At this point, we think everyone's been killed. Michael B. Jordan, we saw, was going to kill his twin brother because his twin brother turned into a vampire. Haley Seinfeld, we didn't see die on screen. Neither we didn't see the twin brother die on screen either, but we just assumed they all died because the leader died, and because of that, he went up in flames. Everyone dies. Sammy is at a bar years later, and I think it's his bar. It's like, oh, some people want to come in, they'll pay for a drink. Like, can they come in? He goes, yes. Walks in Michael B. Jordan's twin brother, who was, hold on, I want to get, was it Smoke or Stack? I forget which one it was. Smoke or Stack. One of the twin brothers and Haley Seinfeld come walking in, and obviously Sammy is taken back, whatever. And the Smoke or Stack says that Smoke or Stack didn't kill him if he let Sammy live the rest of his years and he wouldn't bother him, whatever. So there was an agreement in place that I'll keep you alive, I'll keep you two alive if you leave Sammy alone. And when they met and they connected, just that final scene of Sammy playing the guitar and them talking and seeing him at his older age and knowing that they're still around, it just bumped it to a 5-star movie. I don't know. It's never happened to me before, where I genuinely was typing out the review and then that post-credit scene came on and I was like, I saw the 4.5 and I just swiped it over to a 5-star. It was incredible. Again, I don't like that stuff. So for me to say that it was as good as it was, I think says something. If you have seen it, please let me know in the comments your thoughts on it and everything. On Letterboxd, it has 364,000 5-star ratings, an average of a 4.2 star. That's really, really, really good. But yeah, 2 great movies that I saw. I'm so happy that I was finally able to see both of them because I've heard great things about both, and I had to go to the movies. It's been a little bit. So I was happy I was able to do that, see those. Great movie day. All right, let's talk a little bit about Patreon. So if you guys aren't too familiar with Patreon, it's basically this service where you can sign up for different tiers. So people can have like a $1 tier, $5, $10, $15, however it may be. You can get creative or do whatever amount you want. On Patreon, you can do anything you want, really. You can post pictures, videos, any type of content really you want to make, and you're allowed to do or have more freedom to do things that you can't do on YouTube. So for example, on Patreon, you can watch and play back like old shows or WWE clips and stuff. So I could react to WWE clips, or I could watch old pay-per-views and do watch parties and stuff like that. I thought of the idea of doing a Patreon because on YouTube, you're not allowed to show WWE clips, a lot of copyright strikes. It's very annoying and you're restricted from doing a lot of those things. I'm not committing to anything. I just wanted to throw it out there and see if people would like the idea or not. But I do like the idea of being able to watch old shows and do watch alongs, live watch alongs, or whatever it is with fans and do more interactive stuff and more stuff with the community and everything. And also, I thought it would be a cool concept idea to have my friends on, non-wrestling fans, and watch shows with me and do watch alongs. I think that would be really fun. My buddy Peter, who was at the Backlash live stream, who doesn't watch wrestling or hasn't really watched much wrestling, I could show him some really fun shows, some events, matches, get his reaction. I think that would be a fun time. So let me know, again, what you guys think of that. If it's something that a lot of people would be down for, I'd be open and interested in doing it, but I'm not going to do it if there aren't going to be a lot of people to sign up. So let me know what you think of that. And yeah, while you think of that, let's talk about the NBA and the Boston Celtics. So I'm not going to sit here and talk a lot about basketball because if you follow me on Twitter at Downtown Deck, same thing as a channel, easy to find. I said once Tatum went down with an injury, I was like, I'm going to take a break from basketball for a little bit. Now that the Celtics are out of the playoffs, I mean, I'm going to check in on it and stuff, but I'm so heartbroken. I'm so exhausted. I'm so exhausted from just the thought of what's going to happen this offseason for the Celtics and what the team's going to look like next year and then the year after that when Tatum's back. And torn Achilles at 27 years old is absolutely brutal. The Celtics are going to have to make some big changes this offseason, as we already knew, but now we're not going to have Tatum involved, so we have to get rid of Drew or Kristaps or both, probably Hauser too. And now Jayson Tatum's not going to be there, so now it's Derek White, Jalen. Cornette is a free agent. We have to get him back. Al Horford might retire. It's insane how quickly you can go from the very top. And I think the Celtics will still be competitive next year, even without Tatum. But how you go from the very top being unbeatable to now it's like, okay, now you're just another team or another contender. It's tough, but speedy recovery to Jayson Tatum. Absolutely brutal injury. Someone that is like an Iron Man like him who never missed much time to suffer an injury like that it's tough. The NBA is a worse place, obviously, when stars are missing time, especially someone like Tatum, who again has barely missed time since he's been in the league. It's definitely someone the NBA will miss. Having a star consistently playing it's hard to come around. It's hard to find guys that play as often as Tatum does. So speedy recovery to him, not just for the Celtics' sake, but for the NBA's sake. You know, we need him back on the floor. In the NBA playoffs, now we have the conference final set. So we have the Thunder going against the Timberwolves and the Pacers going up against the Knicks. And the whole bit with the Pacers-Knicks is Jalen Brunson, Tyrese Halliburton, they were on WWE TV. Like, I think I don't know when it was, less than a year ago. And it was just like, they called it. The script was there. The WWE knew it was going to happen before the NBA did, or they worked together on the script. So Tyrese Halliburton versus Jalen Brunson in the East, and then Anthony Edwards versus SGA in the West. There will be a first-time NBA champion for one of those four guys. It is cool seeing someone new win, and this is going to be the 7th new champion in 7 years, which has never happened. So it is cool to see, new teams being involved and whatever, but it still fucking sucks that the Celtics aren't involved. If the Celtics had somehow gotten by the Knicks and the Thunder had got upset by the Nuggets in Game 7, I was telling my friends I was going to have some dangerous thoughts about how I think the Celtics should still be the favorites to win, even without Tatum, but it wasn't meant to be the Celtics' year, unfortunately. Jalen also was playing on a torn meniscus for the last month, so that's just another thing to add on top of it. I hope everyone that's hurt, that had injuries, speedy recovery, and we'll see what happens next year. I'm not even going to get ahead and talk about what I think is going to happen. I don't know. It's going to be an interesting offseason for sure. We haven't had an offseason like this in a while, so it'll definitely be something worth talking about, and I will definitely be talking about it, their offseason, a good amount on this podcast. But okay, let's jump into comments of the week. Not sponsored by Chipotle. We're going to keep saying that until we are sponsored by Chipotle. Chipotle, I'm coming. Just like MVP's theme song, I'm coming. This that's not a threat. I promise that's not a threat. That sponsorship, it's on the way. Each episode that goes by, we're getting closer and closer to us securing that deal, that bag. Again, I, I'd be the best sponsor you'd ever have. Trust. Everyone in the comments, let Chipotle know that I'd be an amazing sponsor. Okay, we have our first comment from Ginger Dude Nick that says, if you could create a stable, main eventer, mid-carder, tag team, and woman with you as the manager, who would you pick? That is a very good question. So I'm the manager. I like the idea of having like a mentor and then young people next to them. So like a legacy or an evolution or whatever the hell Seth Rollins and Braun Breaker have going on. We don't even know if there's going to be a third member yet or not. But if I had to pick someone, Seth Rollins is my favorite wrestler right now. So I feel like no, but he's already, you know what? No, we're not going to pick Seth. That's a cheat code. I'm going to pick Cody Rhodes as my main eventer, but a heel Cody Rhodes. Okay. I'm going to go Austin Theory as my mid-carder. That might, get some people riled up. I still have faith in Austin Theory. I'm still hoping that he's the third member of Seth Rollins and Braun Breaker's group because he has it. He's got stuff there. He's got to put him in a good position, a good story, good character. He's got great moves in the ring. He's great in the ring. The mic skills could always get better and stuff, but you got to push him. You got to put him in a good position. Austin Theory would thrive in a group like this, I believe. And then a tag team, I'm such a big fan of Fraxium right now. I probably would put them in there because they're fucking awesome and they can do no wrong. And then for a woman, let's say, who do I want to put next to Cody Rhodes? I'm between Julia and Roxanne. Let's do Roxanne. I think she's the future of the women's roster in WWE. She's only 23 years old. Fuck, man. She's only 23 years old. That's so crazy. I think she would thrive in like that Evolution Legacy type group. And her next to Cody Rhodes, her next to those people, learning from them. Cody Rhodes being the mastermind with the slick black hair and everything. I think he would lead a really good group, a really cool group. So yeah, we'll go Rhodes, Theory, Fraxium, and Roxanne. What is the closest you were to not watching wrestling? So I thought of this off screen because I feel like my answer is very similar to what everyone else says, where 2019, like when I got to college and stuff, I watched wrestling consistently with my roommates. We would watch it on Monday Night Raw. We'd get together. Maybe not every single episode, but most of them, and every pay-per-view for sure. But 2019 was really rough. And although I was following it still and everything, I feel like around then is when, between the wrestling being what it was and me just, turning 21 and being a little older and kind of being in college and having other things to do, I wasn't as tuned in as I was in years past as far as watching it goes. But I was always still into it and I was always still, following along with what was happening. And in 2019 is when AEW kind of came about and everything. So that kind of sparked things back up again and got me back into watching wrestling, and AEW specifically, because it was something different and it was very awesome when it first started. And then I thought of when I was a kid when CM Punk beat Jeff Hardy and a loser leaves WWE. I hated WWE. I hated CM Punk. I didn't want to watch. I was furious, but that was because of, an actual story that they did their job. They did that to make people upset and kids like me upset. And it very much so worked to the point where an 11-year-old, or how old was I? 2009, 10-year-old. 11-year-old Dante almost stopped watching wrestling, and they almost lost a lifelong fan because of that. How would you book Cena's last match? Would a cash in crash the end result? I personally want Dom to win the briefcase and cash in on Cody after he beats Cena to get nuclear level heat / crowd pop. I'll tell you what, I do think Dom cashing in on either Cody or Cena in that case would get that exact reaction that you're mentioning. But how would I book his last match? I think he should lose his championship in his last match. I think it's confirmed to be in Boston. I believe they said his last match will be in. I think he either should lose just a straight up one-on-one match or a Money in the Bank cash in, like you had mentioned as well. Cody Rhodes, if it's just one-on-one, should be the one to get the belt back from John. just full circle, Cena, beating Cody at Mania, Cody eventually getting his belt back from heel John Cena. At that point, will John Cena still be heel, face? Who fucking knows? But I think Cody Rhodes getting it back from him makes sense. But if we want to go in the cash-in route, I'm going to change up. I see what you're saying with Dom, and I don't hate it. I'm going to change Dom with Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre, I think, would be a great person to retire John Cena, take the belt off of him as well. And it doesn't even have to be a Money in the Bank type situation. I wouldn't mind if they just built a story around Drew McIntyre being the one to defeat Cena and retire him. I'd be cool with that too. But him winning the Money in the Bank 2 years in a row, but this time actually having a good reign with it and not wasting it in the first night could be a good story as well. Drew McIntyre deserves a really good, long title reign with a world championship. And I think him retiring, beating John Cena would set him up for an incredible 2026. Should be 2027 and beyond as well. Last question we have is, do you believe we can get Joe Hendry versus John Cena? Why not? Why not? I mean, you have the partnership, you have the deal going on with NXT, TNA, WWE. Joe Hendry fought fucking Randy Orton at WrestleMania. Yeah, anything could happen. Why not? If you want to have John Cena go to TNA and have him fight for the TNA championship, I think that would be the best scenario. And if they did Joe Hendry versus John Cena, don't have it be Hendry versus Cena for the WWE title. Have it be for a TNA championship. Maybe we build a story about how John Cena is going for an 18th championship. And he's like, maybe I don't want to retire at 17. I want 18 instead. I want the TNA title. I want a title I've never won before. That would be insane. But man, that could be really good. I think there's a chance of it happening. I don't know if it's a strong chance, but I do think that there is something there. And there we have it, guys. Not a lot of comments this week. I did kind of put out my Q&A question a little later than I should have. That's on me. I'll put it out earlier next week so we can get more comments, more questions. But I appreciate you guys for joining me for another episode of Talking to Myself. And I feel like I'm always rambling, but I feel like I was really just going on and on and on this episode about the movie reviews and the Celtics and the comments and everything. I wasn't stopping. This is my third cup of coffee today, so I can definitely feel the caffeine. I'm feeling good, ready to go edit this, put this out so you guys can listen to it for yourself. But thank you guys again for being here. I hope you have a great rest of the day. I hope you have a great rest of the week. I appreciate you all. Peace.